For years, Australian fashion has largely been defined by what the rest of the world sees us as. We're a beachy place that loves snags on the barbie.
And there's plenty of shrimps on the barbie.
And all the fashion that comes out of our nation is resort wear or activewear. When in reality, our creative space has just as much talent as anywhere else. My name is gsnwilliams, and I'm on a journey in uncovering the Australian design space and telling the stories that don't get the love that they deserve. And in doing so, I stumbled upon Strateas Carlucci, a Melbourne-based brand who broke down the barriers and what it meant to be Australian fashion. The brand featured in many magazines and receiving acclaim from the highest levels of fashion. In this video, we go in depth to the beginnings of the brand, how they got to where they are today, and the journeys and lessons they had along the way. So without further ado, watch this with a meal, sit down with a coffee, and enjoy our interview.
We are here in the studio. Mario Luca, please tell me your name, where you're from, and what do you do?
So I'm Mario Luca, one half of Strateas Carlucci. We are a Melbourne-based fashion label. We design both men's and women's wear. And yeah, this is our studio and our showroom.
Please, take me through.
Yeah, cool. So here we are in kind of what is the showroom space, I'd say. We've got our collections out here. So we've got clients and stylists and people that can walk through the space. And then we also have a curation of our favorite books. This is a bit of a, look inside our world.
Yes.
What inspires us, who inspires us. There's amazing artists, photographers and the like. But yeah, as you come through the space, you can see other bits and pieces, some of our artwork that we've created as well. We've also got, more of the collection, objects from some artisans and things like that from all over the world. But then as you turn around to this side, we also have our more kind of working studios. So we have our cutting table. It's a bit of a working studio, but also a showroom space and a retail space as well.
Incredible. I can see the knit that you've got on now.
Yes.
It is also hanging up there. Is that part of your new collection?
Yeah, so this is something we developed early days. So it's 100% Australian merino wool and it's called the vertebrae knit. So this style of kind of this, which is inspired by obviously, the human anatomy, the vertebrae. So with these kind of scalloped edges,
Yes.
Comes in like different colorways, different weights. This is like an early kind of version of it, but we've done the vest and the t-shirt as well. So it kind of finds its way into pretty much all our seasonal collections. So summer we do like a really beautiful lightweight version. We've done shorts, we've done dresses as well. And then for winter, we've done some different silhouettes as well. But yeah, we developed this actually for our 2015 International Woolmark Prize entry. But yeah, it's been something that's lived with the brand for many years and it's still a staple and we keep revisiting it. So
I love that. You mentioned this being a gallery of sorts / showroom, but it's also your inner sanctum of where you do a lot of your work.
Yeah.
If you could please show us
yeah, for sure.
where all the magic happens, really.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously we've got our cutting table here behind us. We've got our patterns and we've got our samples archival. But the idea and the concept of this space was to kind of merge the creative working, tactile side with the studio side as well, being kind of showroom. Then we've got like the office component as well. So we wanted it to be quite an open, tangible space. So all the furniture items are on kind of wheels and casters, so we can open up the space. It's been designed and thought out in a way that can house both those components of how we create, because we're not always just, on the cutting table. We're not always, draping and modeling and doing things like that. What we love about it is when people come in, they can see us working in this space as well. So it's not hidden away. It's like giving, I guess, clients and customers a bit of a sneak peek behind, the curtain, so to speak. So seeing that process as well, which is cool. We're not hiding it. We're like embracing it really. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Speaking of not hiding things, I'm looking at this massive archive here.
Yes.
You picked out some selects here. Can you
Yeah.
please tell us some of the stories behind these garments and where they were shown and who might have worn them?
Yeah, for sure. So just kind of some of the key silhouettes that kind of shape the brand. I mean, for us, it's outerwear, tailoring, and kind of that intersection between day to night, but also high fashion and kind of, I guess, you know, street fashion for lack of a better term, but like sports infused elements. That is kind of how the brand began, and kind of merging those worlds together and having this kind of play of masculine and feminine. So, but yeah, like, you know, our crocking boss, like, feel the weight of this guy, you probably
My goodness.
you know, leather trench has been a staple and I guess been one of our, you know, most called out pieces for press, celebrities alike. You know, it's been shot and worn by a lot of people and it's had many iterations over the seasons. We have done details with like our piercing. So this has been kind of a staple with the range too. So I guess playing on that kind of subversive, you know, element and some of these detailing. So we've had, you know, the big coats with the piercings and these come on and off and that kind of translates into other elements of the brand. But we were really playing around with kind of the silhouette of this, you know, drop shoulder, oversized tailoring, which again, you know, today is probably not, you know, a lot of brands are doing it, which is great, but we were kind of doing these things very early on. So it kind of cemented us as, you know, one of the brands that were playing around with that idea of, you know, I mean, I don't like using the word unisex, but like we were just creating genderless collections. We're showing
Androgynous.
yeah, exactly. So we're showing them on both, you know, men's, women's, and whomever wanted to wear them. We weren't saying, oh, this was our men's and this was our women's. We didn't really have that delineation between the ranges. We design with the concept in mind, and then we would just build what we felt was right, and then we just shoot and style it how we wanted to see fit. This is just playing around with textile as well. So I guess for us, very early on, we played around just with, we loved black, everything black. It's evolved since then, but I mean, as you can see behind us, there's pops of color and stuff. And I remember famously in one of our interviews for, I think it was the Woolmark Prize, like there was like some pretty heavyweight judges on there. So, you know, we're talking about, you know, Tim Blanks from, he's the business of fashion, but back then he was with, Style.com, which then became Vogue.com. Franco Sozzani, who was the editor-in-chief of Vogue Italia. We had Victoria Beckham and Roland Mouret, but a bunch of like really incredible designers and industry heavyweights. And Roland Mouret actually asked us, because we presented the range, and he's like, oh, you know, everything is black. You know, would you ever do anything in color? And we're like, yeah, look, absolutely. Like at the moment, we loved exploring black because for us then it was about silhouette, it was about texture, and it was the best way to explore the work that we were doing then in that period of time. And we had said to him, if for whatever reason the collection or the concept evolves beyond that, then yes, you know, print, color is, but we're not at that stage yet. And it only took us probably about, 10 years to then start introducing a bit of color. But back in the day, and hence why I was kind of bringing this up, like we were looking at texture and we're looking at fabrication and really trying to innovate the space. So this was like a piece where the textile was made from, discarded, suits that were damaged. It was like a patchwork of almost couture-esque, compiling all these, unpicking them, salvaging the good bits, putting them together like a jigsaw puzzle, and then creating a textile and then making the garment. So like a lot of work into pieces like that. Again, just different silhouettes. The long jacket, which was a staple. Again, this kind of oversized coat, which became a staple of our collections since day one. Many iterations of this, but again, with texture. And then, just like some of the shirting components, which we have like the double sleeve, the double cuff, and the asymmetrical cuff, and then the draw cord. So we developed this like in one of our very first collections, and we've just seen iterations of that throughout the seasons as well. Yeah, and it's interesting kind of looking at, fashion over the years, how things have evolved, what still is relevant. And a lot of these pieces that we do today, we were doing, 10, 15 years ago, and just kind of bringing them back through again, which is really great because it means that, it's testament to the design, the process, and those things.
You touched on like the commercial side of it and these ideas that you have when building out collections. I've just had a look and I've seen throughout your page the AFL collab that you've done recently.
Yes.
Tell me how that came about, and I see a heavy use of black in it, of course. Yes. Hearing that, the history behind the black and your usage of that is dope. But tell me about how that collab came to be, and what are your thoughts on the AFLs in general, like the players and the sport encouraging fashion, introducing tunnel walks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, we received an email and we had some conversations with them, and they were really keen on, I guess, the idea of evolving and growing that space, obviously seeing a shift in the culture, which was great, and obviously perhaps looking at similar things happening overseas. So, within the kind of soccer football space, the NBA, and looking at our own backyard and saying, look, AFL being kind of the biggest sport here, and players kind of already, taking it on within their own kind of personal style. So yeah, we thought this could be a really, really great opportunity to push ourselves as well commercially, but also push it in a different direction and take kind of the essence of the brand and really kind of boil it down to, something that is kind of digestible and can be really understood from a bigger picture. So that was great. And to answer your question about kind of the tunnel walks and like how this is going to evolve the space of the AFL, like in the AFL. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just going to continue to get stronger. We're seeing players really embracing it, and it's great. And also kind of having the courage to be like breaking away from this kind of mold of this is what an athlete should wear or should be, and just, it's more than just that one thing. We went with the kind of the mono kind of nickname team. This is the Bombers example, with a really beautiful kind of 3D thick print. Rather than having kind of the big kind of logos emblazoned over everything, we went for the color for the team in this double hood feature. But then we had, the t-shirt variation. Yeah, this one here with the hit list, it's called. So, just that idea of, fans crossing out the other teams, but just trying to push what a sweater could be in that commercial space, giving it a little bit of a Strateas Carlucci upgrade, so the double sleeve, riffing off the double layers that we usually do, and then we do this kind of drop shoulder fit, it's a little bit more cropped. But yeah, I think we're going to see a shift for sure happening more so. So I think, watch this space in the AFL, and I think it's definitely going to just continue to grow, which is exciting, for the players, but it's also for the sport and for fans. Yeah, it's going to be good. I think it's going to be really like a pivotal point in the next few years.
I love that insight. I reckon it's time we roll into the interview, hear more about the backstory and what led us up to this point for you being in this beautiful studio in Brunswick.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. You and Peter both come from different design backgrounds. I know he studied art history and you've done more communications and industrial design, not starting in fashion.
Yep.
How did you two come together and decide that you wanted to start this brand? And how was that meeting in general?
Peter and I have known each other for a very long time. We actually went to high school together. And we became really close friends because we went to a school that had it was a small school, but a really small kind of creative community. And we were like one of, I think, 5 students or 6 students or something in the art class. And there at that school, we only had art. That was the only thing. We didn't have like any creative studios, anything like that. So out of mutual kind of, respect and love for anything art, design. And we went on to study, different design disciplines. So I went and we were both at RMIT, and I studied industrial design because I kind of knew wanted to do something in that creative space, but not fashion. Obviously loved it, loved making art. At that point, we weren't really like, oh, let's kind of start a brand. So we were just really like experimenting with art and different mediums, and fashion kind of being one of those. So we would do a lot of kind of illustrations, paintings, graphics, and then we're like, let's put this on a t-shirt, like as kind of all brands, start. So we're like printing t-shirts in our backyard and Peter's parents' place and my parents' place, and like we're just kind of making things for ourselves and then wearing them to school, to uni, and then mates being like, hey, that's really cool, like, can you make me one? So make him for friends. And as it was very organic, like that's how it started. Like I was working hospitality, as you do when you're studying, and then one of the places next to us, there was like a little boutique, and it was just kind of like, hey, you guys making these t-shirts, do you want to like put them in here? We're like, all right. So that was like the first kind of official order. Over the years, we worked with a lot of local kind of makers, from tailors to, leather manufacturers, knitwear manufacturers. And we just really learnt on the job over the years. And it just kind of went from something small to this bigger thing. We had like the first iteration of the brand was under a different name actually. And it kind of grew from there. And then we were still quite young, like studying still as we're doing this. And we're just like, had no money, just kind of like selling and just kind of, it was building. And then it went, and then we were like, no, let's give this thing a real shot. And that's when we kind of launched the Strateas Carlucci brand. And we were evolving as kind of creatives, but as people maturing, and our aesthetics kind of went from like, this kind of more, for like a better term, I guess, streetwear, still kind of elevated streetwear, but for what it was then, and then to kind of more like everyday elevated wear, like fashion into like ready to wear collections, and which was a really pivotal point for us. Yeah, that was around I think our first range was 2013, that winter season. So we had started about 2012, and no one kind of knew who we were locally, and we were very much inspired, I guess, by that kind of darker aesthetic. So, the Yojis, the Coms, they were like our kind of, heroes. Then the Margiela, Raf Simons, all those guys. So loved that aesthetic, and kind of the use of kind of volume and silhouette and fabrics and textiles, and we're just really inspired by that world, and that kind of influenced our general aesthetic and overview. And then obviously we were loving that, but like something a little bit more classic too. So we were playing really with tailoring. So we had a really kind of unique, I guess, brand positioning, especially coming out of Australia. There probably weren't many brands doing something similar to what we were then. And we decided that the market in Australia was probably still growing for that. So we decided to take the collection to Paris. So we really just gambled. We packed our suitcase. We went over there. During Paris Fashion Week, we knew that there was going to be buyers in a particular area in the Marais. We found like this little gallery. We were sharing with another designer, and we just kind of went, a little bit naive, not knowing what we were going to do. And again, like reminding you of the time, not really a social media presence, it was still kind of building. A lot of the time you were connecting with buyers and communities, like just by being present and being in person. So we had a little installation, a little rack rail with our collection, and we just started meeting people, showing buyers, and we were just, that week we were just kind of still hustling and just trying to meet people. And, we're meeting, stylists, we're meeting buyers, we're meeting as many people as we could, other designers, like kind of being part of a community over there as well, which was really nice. And we managed to get some orders from that first visit, which gave us the confidence to continue to go on. And then we just kept doing that like pretty much every season. And it just went from like, a few retailers to, doubling it the next season and doubling it again and just kind of growing that space. So we did that for, quite a few years. And we kind of built a little bit of notoriety. We started getting some really nice stores, we're getting kind of hit up by stylists, and it just kind of evolved and grew from there.
A lot of the people in today's day and age who start building something here and gain a lot of traction overseas tend to move away to where that is and build out in that market, whether it be London, New York, or anywhere in Europe, really. What made you guys decide to stay? Because you were gaining the traction with the stockists, having successes at Milan Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. Why did you guys stay based in Australia?
Yeah, good question. I mean, we definitely were thinking of potentially making the move. There were a few factors. I mean, I guess supply chain was one of them. At that stage, we were still making everything locally here in Australia. Although we were it was funny because we were getting our fabrics from like Europe. I mean, also lifestyle, like, both Peter and I, born, bred here, like I had at the time a young family, but we decided to stay in Australia because I think we were still able to get what we wanted out of showing overseas, and rather than jumping in all the way, we've seen a lot of designers do that, and some have been really successful, some haven't. And I think the proximity, like being in Europe, like if you're in Europe somewhere, to kind of go from country to country isn't huge. Like to pick up from Australia and go is really big, and just a network of family and friends, and just having that support, like that emotional support and that, friendship group, was really important to us as well. And just having family close by and all that, I think was really important. So, and then when we would come over, we were traveling quite a bit, like four or five times a year, like we were back and forth. So we were there, but not living there. So still when we were there, then it was great because then you could see the people still, you were still meeting people, you were still showing that you're physically there as well, and which was nice, and it made those moments special too. So yeah, it was I guess a multiple there was multiple kind of factors involved in that final decision.
What you achieved in the early years of the brand puts you in rare air for not only Australian brands, but brands in general. Paris Fashion Week, first Australian brand to do Milan Fashion Week on the calendar officially, Woolmark Prize, GQ, NGV acquisitions. A lot of that happened within the first 3 to 4 years of the brand. Can you tell me how that happened so quickly, and what was the pressure like for you guys back then?
It did happen quickly. However, we were still working. So like rewind back to the story. So like we were still working on the craft. Yes. We're working on, developing the brand. So when we launched Strateas Carlucci, although that kind of happened quickly, we were still in the background. Yeah, we were still kind of finessing our craft and stuff. We didn't just kind of blindly, go in there and it was like sheer luck. So it was very calculated. We made those choices deliberately, and the timing was right for when we kind of went to Paris. Although it was like a bit risky, like saying, oh, we're going to do this, it was still a calculated risk because we knew we had a good collection. We knew what our work was at that level where it needed to be after years of kind of developing it. It wasn't like our first iteration of the brand. So we had that experience behind us, which helped. When we started the brand, I think what was interesting was we knew kind of who our demographic was, and we knew who our target audience was. And we thought, okay, how's the how can we reach these people? What's the best way? And again, pre-online, social media, so we couldn't really connect with people like we can today. So we thought we just have to go. We have to be there. And I think that was a really interesting move, because we were able to quickly gain success in an international market, which then in Australia helped our brand profile. All of a sudden, no one knew who we were, but then they were like, oh, hold on a second, who's this brand who's selling in these amazing stores, or, and then getting press overseas before we even got any press here in Australia. So then a huge platform was the International Woolmug Prize. We went into that, and we, again, fairly unknown brand. So we actually entered that prize twice. So the first year we made finalists, but we didn't win. But that first year we met the Australian Vogue editor, so Edwina McKern. After first meeting us, we instantly connected, and she pulled us aside and said, love what you guys are doing. And really that was that first kind of meeting. So we, from that point, got a lot of support from the Australian local industry, especially Vogue, really were supportive of us. So then the next year, so we then had 12 months from that first time to really then build our profile locally, which we did. So through the support of, the amazing stylists in Australia and the publications like Vogue, and we were able to get our brand out there here. So then when we applied for the next year, we obviously made finalists, but we also won the Australian men's and women's, which was, I guess no brand had done that as well. Just even that opportunity of being mentored by them, showing them the collection, getting their feedback was huge. And I think that being on that stage really helped kind of cement the brand as, okay, these guys have got something special, which was really interesting for us. And it just helped open up a lot more doors. And then again, it was all just being able to meet all these amazing people that we genuinely had connections with. And, Franco Susani, who was amazing. We met Sara Mano, who was looking after Vogue talent. So we got published in Vogue Italia. They really supported us as well. So we had built these really incredible relationships through just this interaction, just getting advice from people that had been doing it at that level for so many years, really helped us as well. Just kind of formulate a bit of a strategy. And there's no hard and fast rule. So it's you got to be kind of reactive to what works for you, your circumstances and so forth. So it was, and we made a lot of mistakes, of course, it's never a smooth process. But it was, we were surrounded by some really great people, which helped us along the way for sure.
It's so interesting to hear all your cosigns from the business of fashion style side of things and media, but I want to talk about the laundry list of celebrities and high profile people that have worn your brand, whether it be in music videos or event showcases, from people like Gaga, the Kardashians, Margot Robbie. Talk to me about how those actually work. Is it as simple as a stylist reaching out by email being like, hey, we have this person, they want this, or can we have this for this look? How did that work behind the scenes?
Again, around that same time where we started getting some international presence, it was there was a time where we were getting a lot of crazy requests and emails that we were like, is this real? What's happening here? And yeah, so we've been really fortunate, just to have dressed some of those amazing people. But yes, I guess a lot of the time has been through email, through a stylist perhaps seeing it. Generally, they may request a look, or, they might be something specific, or, maybe asked to do something for something, or there might be a brief or something like that. So, but yeah, a lot of the times I would say it's through stylists, which is good. So building up great relationships, and then through press agents as well. At a time we had some representation overseas, but then we also had some locally too. A lot of the requests would come through us, but we would get some through the press agents as well. And then some will be through like publications. So you might get, you know, Vogue, for example, shooting the cover, and it'd be Kate Blanchett or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like pulling pieces and then be like, oh, wow, they used our coat there. So like, you know, so through that as well. So some really, amazing kind of milestones for us and pinch me moments. And we were just, we've been really blessed to see, to see some of our garments and some incredible people.
Yes. Bridging off that, and celebrities and all that sort of stuff, I want to talk about your New York Fashion Week 2017 VFILES show. It had 21 Savage walking. I know we've talked about it briefly, but I would like to hear that story again and the lead up to that and how it all came together, because that is a huge moment. Yeah. Honestly, when I found that out, my jaw dropped.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy moment. It was a very quick trip. We got selected to be part of this VFILES show, which was insane. They flew us over there. They said shows at the MTV building at Times Square, and we're like, whoa, that's insane. And we got to the building. There was like some dress rehearsals and some model fittings and stuff. And then at that stage, no one knew that 21 was performing. It was all like hush hush. And the producer pulls us aside and says, oh, hey, we've got a performer and we want to know if you guys have got a spare look to dress him. And we're like, oh yeah, cool, we can pull something together. At that stage, we hadn't really had any extra looks. Like we had just packed what we needed for the show. And they're like, oh, it's 21 Savage. And we're like, what? Like, all right, we'll make something happen. So Peter and I like digging through our suitcase, you know, we pulled together a look made up of our own personal clothing. Like I pulled like one of my jackets and Peter had another piece, and we got a look together. And we gave it to the producer, and they're like, oh no, he wants to meet the designers. And we're like, okay. So, and it's funny because we had dressed some celebrities before, but we never really had many interactions with them. So it's all been through third party. We're like, all right, cool. So we go through this corridor, and it was like the space was cool, but then like the building itself was like an office building. So you're like through these corridors and stuff, and we kind of turn the corner and we can see kind of this plume of smoke coming out. We're like, okay, this is where he's at. And it was such a surreal experience. Like they open the door, he's sitting kind of like on a couch like this, but he's with his like crew. Really intimidating, like all these guys, and I'm just standing at the door. I was on my own because Peter's like, you can you can go do it. And I was like, all right, cool. So I'm just standing there holding like the garments up, and I'm like, hey, and they're just sitting around like with these stern looks on their face, and I was like, oh shit, they hate me. And like, no, but they were really sweet. They were really lovely, and you know, they were just asking some questions about the brand, and you know, I was explaining kind of the looks and stuff, and he wore the full look, which was cool, and we got some huge traction from that, which was amazing. But it was an experience moment. But Peter actually similarly had an experience with Joey Badass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was here in Melbourne actually. So I think he was touring, and I was away, and we got a call saying, hey, Joey's in town, blah, 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 dressing for a show. And I was like, Peter, you got to go down because I'm out of town. So he actually went to the hotel room and, but he apparently was really lovely. Like he was like, oh, come in, you know, like I was like, damn, I wish I was at that one. Yeah. So that was a really good experience. So he got to experience it, and I didn't that time, but there's been so many moments like that, but it's been pretty crazy. But it was, that was also a really pivotal point too. Like VFILES were incredible, the team there, great platform for, again, emerging designers, and really helped us just trying to, break into, the US, that market too, which was really cool.
Yeah, I love that. Moving off that now, your studio describes and talks about merging art and design. Yeah. The whole fashion is art conversation is something that has been happening for decades now, really. Going off the Met Gala theme this year, fashion is art. What is your take on it? Like, I know you've had a conversation about this with NGV before in the past, but has that changed? And do you think fashion is art?
Art is very, it's personal. It's up for interpretation, and I think art can be any art form, like obviously any medium. So like in that practical sense, like yes, I believe it. Fashion can be art.
Yes.
I mean, it's something that we consider, but I think for us, it's like that on that conceptual level. So it's about understanding, you know, a concept and an idea and how that can build into something tangible. And obviously in our case, it's fashion. So it's something wearable, but it could be, a photograph, it could be a sculpture, it could be painting or whatever it may be. So it's just taking that concept and it's just applying it to different things. So yeah, I mean, we obviously believe that fashion is a form of art, absolutely. And like art, there's a commercial viability to it too. So, you've got art that, that is made for commercial purposes too. So for us, at that top level, from more that concept side, we believe that, you can really tell a story through a silhouette, through fabric. And it's, what I love about it is, again, it's up for interpretation. How you perceive something and I do through your experiences and through my experiences are two completely different things. So, and it's about a conversation, it can evoke an emotion, a feeling, something. And if it's doing that, then it's doing its job. So yeah, I think it is. Absolutely.
I like that. Playing off that now, you've obviously given like your philosophy behind art. What are your favorite examples? Because I know mine, just off the top of the head, Mugler, Alexander McQueen. Do you have a favorite rendition of this topic or a favorite designer that plays with this idea?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, yeah, for sure, McQueen. Absolutely incredible designer, but really for us was a huge inspiration. Again, probably in those early days too. We actually were really fortunate. We saw his exhibition at the Met in New York many years ago. Seeing it, and experience it in person is just something different. It's just something different. Seeing images, seeing, stuff online just does not do it justice. So that was a huge eye opener for us, and just how he could kind of manipulate an idea and a concept and turn it into this incredible thing. And then beyond that as well, so there's the piece, but then his storytelling in his runways, his photo shoots, and just build a whole world around that. Like, if that's not art, man, I mean, I don't know what is. Like, it was just, yeah. So he, for us, like McQueen was definitely like a pioneer in that space, but also an inspiration for us. But then, that aside, like looking at the technical level, like just how he could construct garments and really just push the boundaries of, what a garment can be. So there's the conceptual side, but then there's also the physical kind of piece itself. And I think he was able to marry both those things so beautifully. And yeah, definitely one of a kind. He's true artist.
I've loved this conversation that we've been having, but if I had to wrap it up and give some information to the people that might be listening that have got this far, you're over a decade and a bit into this business and navigating the whole fashion market and dealing with that all. What is a mistake that you've made that if you begun, you wish you could rectify, or it was one of your main focuses that you would suggest to up and coming designers now to make sure that you have this day one sorted?
Well, that's a tricky one. There's a long list of mistakes that we've made. I think for today, look, I think there's a couple of things. So there's the creative side and then there's the business side. And I think depending on what the objective is as a designer, I mean, obviously you want to have some form of commercial success to be able to do the things that you love to do. So I think it's really important to have a little bit of business understanding, a little bit of business acumen. I think in the first few years, like I don't know what the stats are, but a lot of designers just run out of cash. So it's about planning, being really smart with how you use money, how you kind of get money, income and stuff like that. So if you are not that way inclined as a designer, and often you're not because you might be a creative person, like I know I definitely wasn't, it's about having someone, whether they're part of the business or, you know, that can support you in that business side of things, even just as a sounding board, like just setting up your business right. Things don't happen overnight. So this is probably more on the creative side, like build out your identity, your craft. One hard lesson, and I think it's a hard pill to swallow for most people, but you know, you cannot please everyone. It's unfortunate, like, you know, you want to be like, oh, I want to do this and this and this, but it's just physically impossible. So unless you're, you know, we were talking about it earlier, like a Prada, then sure, go for it. But we don't have those resources. We don't have that manpower. We don't have that capital. So it's about doing something and doing it really well, staying true to that vision and that what makes you that brand or who you are as a designer. Just stay true to that and be authentic as you can be. Don't try and be other things, and just keep pushing it, keep pushing that. And honestly, it's, you know, 99% hard work.
Yes.
And, you know, 0.5% glamour. You know, there are some definitely, you know, amazing moments in our career that we've had, and, you know, as we mentioned some of them before, but, you know, a lot of the time, you know, you're isolated, you're working hard, you know, there's a lot of stress. So have a good friendship group, have people you can lean on, all those things, you know. It's just, you know, it's about having a great support network as well.
Mariluka, thank you so much for your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
So well spoken. That's a wrap.
Cool.
Wow, wow,
Amazing.
wow. That was